Hi loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I make new videos every other week, so be sure you subscribe and turn on my bell notifications so you don't miss a thing. So this week we are going to talk about burnout. I think I'm going to section this off into like timestamps so you guys can check out the description box to see what specifically I'm talking about at what times, just so it's a little bit more organized for you guys. So in this video, I will be going over what is burnout and how do you get it, how can you tell if you have burnout, what to do if you're burning out, ways to prevent burnout, and finally how to cope with burnout. I want to give a really quick disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, nor do I claim to be. I'm just sharing things that I've personally experienced and researched. So please take my advice with a grain of salt, do your own research, and of course talk to your doctor or your therapist if need be. I'm just making this video in hopes that somebody can get something out of it, feel less alone, share my personal experience, all of that. So having said all of that, let's get right into it. So let's first start off with what is burnout and how do you get it? According to WebMD, burnout is a result of excessive or prolonged emotional, physical, and mental stress. And in an article done by the Cleveland Clinic, it does say that burnout happens when your work-life balance gets out of sync. It also states that burnout is becoming more of an issue in recent times, and this might be due to remote work and technology becoming so integrated in our lives that it's hard to find that separation. There was one study done with 1,000 employees, and of those 1,000, 77%, which is 770 participants, said that they have experienced burnout in their current job. Now, how can you get burnout? I've seen more and more that like pushing yourself every single day to almost your breaking point is something to be praised in our society today, especially with the whole like grind culture of working every single day, working insane amount of hours every single week, all in the name of like success is a huge contributor to this. It's just unrealistic, especially with celebrities promoting that more and more. It makes it harder for normal people to establish like a work-life balance. And there's this guilt associated with having life outside of work and doing things for your own enjoyment even. It took me a little while to get to the point where I truly had a separation between what my occupation is and what my life is. Because especially growing up in the American school system, you're basically told that your job is your life and you better choose something you like because you can't change it. You're not allowed to choose a different path. You have to go to college, pursue your occupation, and then that's what you do for the rest of your life. But in reality, if you take away everything you've learned from work and the culture surrounding it, the whole purpose of a job is to have money so you can live your life outside of the office. And this may be just a bit of a tangent based on what I just said. I heard this somewhere and I apologize, I can't remember who or where I heard this from, but if I do remember, I will leave it in the description box below. But they were talking about how in the beginnings of humanity, we created activities that we enjoy so that we would have a way to spend our time. And then we created jobs so that we would spend more of our time in ways that helps other people. Then currency got involved, and that evolved into us having enough money to enjoy our time freely. But somewhere along that line, we lost that freedom, and now we're at the point where we just spend all of our time working and we feel guilty if we're not working. Whether that's because of money or expectations, but going back and remembering that work is meant to be only a small part of life is a way to start getting that work-life separation back. I mean, even passions are something you can get burnt out over. I was actually just watching Dan Howell's video on why he quit YouTube and the burnout he experienced because of it. Something that he touched on in his video is the monetization of your passions and how in modern society the only way to be quote good at something is to be successful in it. And in our society today, success almost directly correlates to money, which is really messed up when you think about it. The fact that people can't just do things for their own enjoyment without feeling this overwhelming urge to make money off of it, but the pressures put on people by society to pump out content, ideas, products, anything we have a passion for in order to get money out of it in this wild goose chase towards success is what we've been raised to believe is best for us. But there's a point in doing this where your mindset shifts from wanting to do something to having to do something. Dan also mentions in his video that creativity is not something that can be forced, and you risk burning out very quickly when you pursue your passions in strictly a financial way rather than one for enjoyment. Now, how can you tell if you have burnout? The physical symptoms can look like feeling exhausted no matter how much you sleep or rest, and reduced performance at work and other activities. Mentally, symptoms can look like feeling apathetic or unsatisfied by the work you're doing, resentment towards or pushing away from things that are giving you burnout, and there are even some symptoms that mirror depression. But I want to be very specific. There is a difference between burnout and depression, and if you think you may be depressed, please talk to your doctor about it. Usually, if it is burnout, you will be able to pinpoint exactly what is making you feel this way, whereas in depression, the causes can be generally a bit more broad. I do want to clarify, depression and burnout can look a lot alike, but they are very different. So if you think you may be struggling with depression, please talk to someone you're close with or talk to a doctor about this, and I really urge you to seek some sort of help. You don't have to struggle alone with this. For the majority of people, these are some causes of burnout. Examples that may cause this are job stress, large projects that require a lot of focus, any extremes of an activity, work-life imbalance, or lack of control over your work. And I also want to mention people who are neurodivergent, including myself, are actually at a higher risk of dealing with burnout, and we can also get it from things that are not related to work. Things such as hobbies or even relationships can cause this. This can be due to a lot of different things, including masking, which is a way of hiding or suppressing our symptoms in order to fit into society's view of normalcy. It could be caused by hyperfocus, which is where our brain spends a lot of mental time and energy almost obsessing over this thing we are hyperfocusing on, or continuously trying to push ourselves too far in order to keep up with those around us. The symptoms also look a little bit different for people who are neurodivergent as well. They usually tend to present more on the emotional side of things. Burnout can present more as lack of motivation, inability to concentrate, guilt, low mood or increased anxiety, low productivity, and irritability in people who are neurodivergent. So what do you do if you're burning out? If you have the luxury of planning a couple days off, I really recommend going for that. The amount of time it will take to fully move past your burnout is different for everybody. For me personally, it took about a month or two to fully move past my worst case of burnout, but that is not the majority. I mean, for me, my normal is like 2 days in order to get past a burnout. Giving yourself even just like 1 or 2 days to separate yourself from that work environment will prove to be very beneficial for you. Another thing you can do is set better boundaries for yourself. I know it can be really hard to say no sometimes, but if you feel like you're burning out, it's okay to put yourself first. If you are more of an outgoing person, another way you can do this is to plan one fun event for yourself, whether that is taking yourself on a nice outing or hanging out with friends, or even just going out and watching a movie you're really excited about. These can all be things you could do to release that pressure from whatever is giving you burnout. Finding something creative that you like doing to help de-stress, making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Diet, sleep, and exercise all play into your health mentally and physically. By making sure you're on like a healthy base level can also help give you enough energy to take care of yourself emotionally. And if you are blessed enough to have a therapist, talking to them might really help, and you guys can come up with plans or tools to help you get through it. So you may be asking, how do you prevent burnout? I don't think I've necessarily found a way yet to completely stop it from happening. Especially being neurodivergent is a little bit harder for me, but I kind of think it is part of life. You can't just do something forever and never get tired of it and never have it be overwhelming. But there are a few ways you can prevent how quickly you get to the point where you are burnt out. Things like giving yourself small breaks from work. I know there are some professions where you aren't given the ability to take breaks from work, or at least breaks long enough to be of any use to you, but I will be honest, there are times where I get so overwhelmed at work I need to go to the bathroom for a few minutes, remind myself of my breathing, ground myself again, and go back out there. Especially since I work with a lot of people, I work with a lot of technology. It's very loud in there all the time. There's a lot of smells. It's very bright in there. And I swear to God, it's always so hot in there. It's just a lot for me sensory-wise all the time. And sometimes I gotta take a 3-minute break in a quiet, dimly lit room just to reset and gather myself until I'm okay enough to go back. So short breaks when you can get them, and if not, maybe a 3-minute bathroom break just to collect yourself and go back. Another thing that'll help is creating a clear separation between your work and your home. Again, this is very much a luxury for some people. I'm very lucky to have a job where as soon as I'm done with my shift, I very rarely have additional work to do when I get home. But for some people, especially if you have a lot of work to do at home or you work from home, it is a bit harder to create that distinct separation. Try to set up an area of your house that is specifically designed for your work. It can be a small section of your living room, your desk, your kitchen table. Try not to make that your bed though. I know it's so comfortable, but it will interfere with your body's production of melatonin and it'll make it harder for you to relax when you need to. And again, the whole idea of this is to create a specific separation between your work and your home. So create a designated work spot. That way when you're done with work, you can leave your work spot, leave all of your work there just like you would leave an office. And you can mentally have that separation too so that you're not consumed by work while you're doing other things in your house. Again, like I said earlier, make sure you pursue your passions in moderation. Try to make sure that if you are passionate about it, you're not doing it all the time. I know it can be really easy to throw yourself into hours and hours and hours of your passion, but at least try to set limits on how much time and energy you're spending on this so that you don't overexert yourself mentally or physically from what you're doing, so that it can remain something you enjoy and love doing for longer. Also, again, a little side note, I was reading this article on hurry sickness. If you don't know what hurry sickness is, it's like this go, go, go mentality. Some symptoms symptoms of this is like speeding through tasks, rushing things to the point where you have to like redo them or you're forgetting things, feeling irritable if things are going too slow for you, or if you're facing delays, you're basically trying to gain more time. And I've also found that this specifically can lead to burnout and lead to burning out quicker. So just being cautious if you do have this to try and slow down and enjoy the moment that you're in. That way you don't become too drained too quickly. Sorry, my camera battery just died, so if you see that, that's what that is. And finally, how do you cope with burnout? Again, like I said earlier, if you are able to take a few days off, that is such a blessing, and I really encourage you to take advantage of it if you're able to. If not, try to find just an evening or an hour where you can just have it to yourself. During the time you have off from your work, try to not be on your phone or consume any sort of media. That means your phone, your computer, your TV. Don't even read a book or listen to music, a podcast, none of that, just for an hour. I want you to spend this time just being in the moment without the distraction of some sort of media. And you can spend this time having a relaxing bath, cooking yourself a nice dinner. Now that it's warm enough, a little bonfire would be nice. Going for a walk in nature, meditating. Try to choose an activity that is relaxing but not boring. And also try not to choose an activity that requires a lot of brain power, like playing a game or cleaning, because again, the whole point of this is kind of to let your body rest and let your mind rest for a bit, and your brain needs a break just as much as your body does. Another way to cope with this is to make sure you're taking care of yourself first. I always use the cup of water analogy with my friends. Let's say this full cup of water represents you and your energy levels. When you're constantly doing things for other people and putting all your mental energy into other relationships, at the end of the day, you're not going to have enough energy to take care of yourself. So you need to be sure you're taking care of yourself, giving yourself breaks, giving yourself rest, so that you can fill your own cup back up again. Another way to cope is giving yourself more opportunities to be in the moment. I know the whole idea is time's of the essence these days, especially with the whole hustle culture, promoting this idea that you need to be on the grind every single day, you have to be making money all the time or you won't be successful. I can understand that feeling, but also taking care of yourself and taking care of your brain is essential, and it'll help you more in the long run. I have so many issues with capitalism and I could talk about it for hours, but I'm not going to get into it that much in this video. But just know that working all the time and pushing yourself to extremes isn't equivalent to success. Having love and fulfillment for what you do is success, in my opinion. As cheesy as that is, the ways you can bring yourself back in the moment can actually be done while doing other tasks, like brushing your teeth. That's 2 whole minutes you can utilize giving your brain a break. Meditating for a bit, consciously releasing tension, working on your breathing, positive affirmations. Those are all things you can practice while you're doing an activity that doesn't require a lot of mental energy. A huge one is resting when you need to. If on one of your days off you are just struggling to stay awake, you are so tired, don't force yourself to stay awake just because you feel like you have to. Give yourself a short 20-minute nap. It's not a long enough time to affect your sleep quality later in the night, but if your body is telling you that it needs it, listen to it. The last one is the hardest step, but I really want you to try and do it. When you're not working, try not to think about work stress. I know this one gets me too, but when you come home from a long day, try to distract your brain a little bit by being like, oh, I just got home. Let's separate my work from what I'm doing now. Be in the moment while you cook or you clean, and again, try to do the things I listed earlier, like consciously releasing tension, meditating, working on your breathing. But I completely understand if that's a little bit more difficult, try putting on a podcast or some relaxing music to try to keep yourself grounded and to sort of tether your mind back away from that work stress. Another way you can do this is by journaling. Just as soon as you get home, open up your journal and write down all of your worries, all of your stress, just dump it into this notebook. And when you're done, let it live there. It really helps clear your mind and helps you validate and process through all of the emotions, all of the stress that you were dealing with before, and it frees up a lot of your mental space so you can actually relax. So that is all I have for now. I hope you were able to learn something, or at least feel less alone if you are struggling with this. If you would like to check out some of my other videos that relate to productivity, motivation, mental health, I will leave a playlist for you in the description box below. If you like this video, please be sure you give it a thumbs up so I know to make more for you guys. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe and turn on my bell notifications so you don't miss a thing. Stay safe, stay healthy, make good choices, and I will see you guys soon. Bye, loves.